Hey guys, welcome back to MuscleMentor.net. I'm Brad Hall and this is Justin Harris, and we're still taking some questions that we got on Instagram.
All right, first one we have here is, I'll read the whole question. Training leading up to a show and specifically during peak week. Everyone always talks about diet, sodium, and water, but what about how to train? At what point do you cut things off and realize going hard as fuck, bro, is just going to bring you in worse? Or should you not change it at all? Okay, training up to a show is I don't change anything up until a week out. I mean, later on in the diet, your main goal of the diet isn't to build muscle. You're not building muscle. Your goal is to burn calories. So you think, well, I'm going to go do circuit type stuff. No, your goal is to burn calories, and what burns the most calories is the highest workload. And the highest workload is weight. I mean, work is force times distance. And so you're moving a weight, a force, over a distance against gravity, and that's the workload. And so the heavier the weight you do, the harder you tax your body, the more workload you're going to do, and it's not just weight work is the physics term work. It's stress on the body, and that puts you into what we always talk about EPOC, which means you have an elevated metabolic rate after the workout. And so light circuit training, even though it's a lot of reps and stuff, isn't going to burn the most calories. And the same thing goes for cardio. I mean, you need to do cardio because there's only so much weight training you can do, but really, weight training is still your biggest calorie burner. I mean, you might power through 600 calories, 700 calories on a long cardio session, but your hour, maybe more of training, hour and a half of hard training, you're burning far more calories, especially when you consider the total calories burned from the workout, not just while you're at the gym, but while you're recovering after. So don't train anything until a week out. What I do is at Saturday or whatever 7 days out is, if you're in the UK, it's always Sunday shows, so it'd be Sunday. But at a week out, Saturday is their last high carb day, and we may do a normal high carb day, may do a higher or lower carb day, but that's the last real carb day. But before we start peak week, I still call it final week prep, but that's your last leg day and your last high carb day. And then typically I have them train Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But Wednesday will be kind of a unplanned until the end, usually an upper body leg day. Saturday is also their last leg day. So from the last week, it's all upper body stuff. And then really after that last Saturday, that last week, you're not trying to set any PRs in the gym. You're trying to work the muscle, get a pump. You're still trying to train pretty hard, but just not get injured at that point. And then we might even train Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and those 3 days would all be, they're just to pull glycogen. You always think, what are you training for? Up until that last week, you're training to burn fat. In the off season, you're training to build muscle. That last week, you're training to move nutrients around. And so we're trying to bring glycogen into the muscle, so we want blood and we want a reason basically to deplete glycogen, draw blood in that area, which is creating a concentration gradient. So glycogen's leaving the muscle, blood's going to the muscle, carrying sodium, water, and glycogen. We're creating kind of that gradient of the carbs we're eating going up into the muscle. And so we'll train light upper body. Those last couple of days will be something like, we'll say Wednesday, maybe we'll do Thursday also, but a Wednesday would be like 3 sets of 20 for each body part, upper body. Enough to get a pump, not to get sore, because we might be training Thursday and Friday also. You can guys go with your training?
Yeah, I'd say train the exact same way, like Justin said, that you have all off season. Do the same thing that got you the muscle that you had to begin with. But as the prep goes on, usually people start getting in better and better cardiovascular shape. One, they're doing cardio, probably HIT or HIIT cardio, things like that. So as that starts happening, what I tell people is, train the same way, use the same, or use heavy weights, still do the same thing that you're doing. However, you might not need to take as big of a rest break in between sets as you would in the off season when you can't breathe. So as a prep goes on, you start feeling like you're not losing your breath as much. Shorten your rest periods as you go through. Then, like you said, the whole point really during the contest prep is to keep the muscle and create a stimulus for even more fat loss. So instead of having to go walk on a treadmill for an extra 30 minutes, maybe just shorten up your rest period. Don't cut it from 2 minutes down to 30 seconds, but keep it under a minute if you can. Not probably during squats, but keep it so that your training is pretty hard. You're not able to hold a big long funny conversation while you're training, especially during a contest prep. You should be pretty spent by the time you get done, and then almost the exact same thing the final week.
And I also want to say, hopefully once and for all, even though I know it won't be, the final week isn't about changing things. I mean, it's so hard, and
Don't
it's
fuck it
it's
up.
yeah, and that's why everyone looks like shit on stage, and that's why everyone, besides Photoshop, that's why everyone looks better the weeks before contests. Every single thing you change, every single thing has the potential to make you worse. Every single thing. The more things you, and some of them are going to. So the more things you change, the more potential you have to make yourself worse, and eventually you're going to reach a point where you change so many things, you're guaranteed at least one of them is going to have a negative effect.
And you'll have no clue which one
Yeah,
did it.
do not. That's the worst thing about the sport. I mean, the reason is because people go up through the ranks and they start their local shows and they're just not in shape. That's the reason. You shouldn't be looking to change anything the last week. If you don't look good enough to step on stage at a week out, you're not going to look good enough to step on stage, barring some miracle the final week. You don't want to change things because all you're trying to do is slightly refine how you look. And I'm prep. I'll use an example because I'm prepping some people right now. I was posting pictures of Ricky Varney in weeks leading up to a show, and you could say we were playing. 4 weeks out, we were playing with his carbs and doing different things because he was stage ready. And you can see any of those pictures. There's go to my Instagram page, Troponin_nutrition. And you'll see Ricky Varney in weeks leading up to the show, and any one of those, he looks like he was ready to step on stage. Yeah. So that means we didn't need to do anything. We're not. What are we gonna improve from that? We're only gonna risk making things worse. If you look at Dominic Trivellini right now, he 7 weeks out of the juniors and 11 weeks out of the USA's, and he's got cross striatures in his rectus femoris right now. His glutes are starting to come in. So there's nothing. We're not going to be worried about fixing things. If you're trying to change things. You're doing something wrong. And if you're ready to step on stage, what are you trying to change anyways? But you want to do the bare minimum with everything the final week. You want to change the bare minimum. If you change the way you train, that's a chance your body's going to respond differently. What if all of a sudden, backing off and doing different movements or going for pump causes some kind of inflammation? Boom, inflammation, swelling, water, you look like shit. What if, why are you changing your cardio? I know you want to be done doing hard cardio, but if you should be looking peeled and in shape doing hard cardio. So what's changing the cardio going to do? I typically back off the intensity a little bit, but this, again, if you don't look ready while you're doing all the things you're going to change, you're not going to look ready after you change them.
Yeah, if you're taking those check-in pictures the weeks leading up, and that's when you look the best. You take it in the morning, first thing after you got up. Well, think about it. What did you do the 3 days before? Did you dehydrate yourself before you went and you took that picture, and that's why you look so great? No, it's not. You were totally hydrated. You've been drinking 1.5 gallons of water every single day. Now, overnight, you've peed it all out and you look the best in the morning. Mm-hmm. But why then would you either listen to somebody or do it yourself where you start cutting water out, the 3 days before, and you're barely hanging on by the day that I just see that so mumuch, the day of the show.
Oh, and
so
even
dehydrated, their muscles are just flat.
Yeah, and even then, if you need to, if you're not looking stage ready and you're checking pics or any pics leading up when you're not doing anything different, you're not going to be stage ready. So you need to reevaluate. But on top of that, you shouldn't only look stage ready at your absolute best. It's funny because people, like young guys or new guys or novice or state level guys will, they'll post all kinds of update pics and you'll see a big wide, change in how they look because they do look slightly better when they're dry and full than they are when they're flat and a little watery. You don't see that with the pros. You don't see, you never see, did anyone ever see Phil Heath or Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler or any Dexter Jackson? When you see them in the Battle for Olympias, do those guys look soft, watery, and shitty? No, they look ready to step on stage. Have you ever seen Ronnie Coleman in any video from 6 weeks out? I mean, look at the Unbelievable. He was ready to step on stage. And that's what's funny is Ronnie Coleman's flat in the Unbelievable because he's low carb. That's the thing. When you're truly in shape, you look, a good eye or a coach can tell that you don't look as good as you do when you're after you've filled out, but you still look ready to win a show. A good example is Chris Cook when he finally turned pro. He won the USA's like 2 or 3 years in a row. The third year he finally turned pro. He was completely flat. So flat, no pop to his muscles, but he was finally in true contest shape, and even being flat, he won. So even worse, not only should you look ready for the stage at 2 weeks out or 1 week out, and if you don't, you're not ready for the stage. No miracle's gonna happen. Pick another show or you're just wasting your money. And 2, you should not only look ready for the stage when you've filled out and stuff, you should look ready for the stage at your worst at 2 weeks out. And if you're at your worst, you're not ready for the stage. And I've been there. I've been not ready for the stage and done shows and regretted it. And I've also been the the reverse. I've been where, geez, at 6 weeks out, I was just hoping the show would come because I was ready to step on stage any day of the week. And you can guess which shows I won and which shows I lost.